Back on this the next day, and this bearing race is kind of chewed up a little bit on the top, but the bottom is really bad. I don't know if we're seeing that, but those marks are really deep pitted holes. And I'm not sure, but we might have some scarring on the spindle itself on the bottom here. I'm not sure yet if that comes off or if that's scarring on the spindle. But I can't really see it that good. Anyway, sorry about the noise, but I got a next door neighbor. They got two dogs that are bad dogs. This girl that lives over there, she takes in troubled dogs. I don't know where she gets them, but I got to put up with that. So hopefully they'll never complain about me making noise over here, because it's not my nature, but I might complain about their dogs if they do. I am going to slice this bearing race off with a cutting torch. And those of you that watch me kind of regular, you know I've been kind of bragging on my new propane torch. That's a lot cheaper to use. I'm not going to use it today because it doesn't cut quite as accurate and smooth and clean as the acetylene torch. So I'm going to use the acetylene on this because I don't want to damage the spindle. Not a big deal. If I do, I can fix it, but I still don't want to. I am cut most, if not all the way through on both sides, but I'm careful trying not to burn into this solid piece here. So I'm going to put a chisel and a hammer on it. And I kind of blinded on this camera because I'm out in sunlight and can't really see the viewfinder too good on it. Didn't even need to chisel it, really. Probably would have to come off. So we did not get into the main body of the spindle, so just got to let it cool down a little bit and then start cleaning that off. Polish it down some and clean up one of those new spindles and put it on. Excuse me, clean up one of those new hubs and put it on. Got the spindle all cleaned up, polished up all the way around. There was a little bit of pitting on the bottom, but it seemed to clean up pretty good. And the hub, got that cleaned up, got the bearings cleaned up, both inside and this is the inner here, that's the outer on that side. And I think I'm ready to put this back on. I wish this thing had the regular hubs on it that you could put the regular wet oil bearings on, but it doesn't. I can plainly see it needs to have a step up here for the seal to ride on, and it doesn't have that. So I can't put those on without changing that whole thing here. And I'm not going to do that. I would if I needed kingpins, but I already had kingpins done a few years ago. I'm going to go ahead and put it back together now. The hub just slid right on there real nice and smooth. And putting it back together, this big thick washer and one lock nut. Of course, on a regular wet bearing axle, this lock nut here does not get tightened down. Oh, it gets seated and then backed off, loosened up, and then barely seated again, just a little bit. Well, I got videos on that. This is not a wet bearing. These do get tightened down all the way, and it gets tightened down tight. So it has directions here that we're sticking to the end of the hub here, and I'm going to try to stick them back on there. The wheel nut, the inner one is 500 to 700 foot-pounds, the outer one 200 to 300 foot-pounds. So before I finish this, I'm going to clean this off and try to stick this back on there again. So this is the inner nut, that gets to 5 to 7. We put the locking washer on there that has the tabs you fold over, and then put your braking off, a couple of them, but there's more tabs. Alright, I'll put that on here. I seated that inner nut pretty good with an impact wrench, and I'm going to go ahead and put the drum and the tire on it and set it down on the ground, and then I'll finish torquing this with the wheel on the ground. I'll feel safer doing it that way than on jacks. Got my first nut torqued past 600. My torque wrench only goes up to 600, but I put a little more on it after it clicked. And now I'm going to put the second nut on there, and I think it gets 300. I got to check again. Got the lock washer on there with the tabs, and the second nut is screwed down. Got the torque wrench set at 300. Then I'm going to fold my tabs out, not all of them, just a couple of them. Then I'll clean the silicone off of this and put that on. And that will be it. Thanks for watching.